Silverstone, the home of British Motorsport, for the finale of the Open Sports Car Series Championship. Josh Smith currently leading the overall championship, but the class battles are all to play for. Class B sees Mike Genvy, Craig Mitchell and also Duncan Williams going for the win. So, before we get into it, I caught up with some of the drivers down in the holding area. So as you can see behind me, cars getting ready for race one. 34 cars on the grid. We've got Mike Genvy on pole, followed by Graham Cole in second. And maybe I can forgive you for mistaking that Bowlby for Ginger Marshall, but it's not. We've got a special guest driver in the form of Matt Manderson, who's been racing in the British GT Championship this year in Aston Martin V12. So let's have a quick word. Not only that, there's a bit of history here, because back in 1980s, Matt's father, Doug, used to race with Ginger Marshall in the special saloons. Matt, great to see you back here. You're looking forward to this?
Bit of an unknown quantity for me at the moment, because I'm very limited on mileage in this car. I only drove it briefly 2 weeks ago for the first time, so I'm still learning it, but I'm ever optimistic and I really would like to mix it up with him if I can.
Fantastic. Well, we can't wait to see that. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
And with that, I'll hand you over to Richard for race one.
So here's the grid. Mike Genvy on pole from Graham Cole, the Class A pole sitter. Matt Manderson from Duncan Williams, John Paul Ivy and Richard Webb. Graham Hill is on pole for Class C. Darcy Smith next from Douglas Bowkett and Craig Mitchell. Josh Smith and Richard Stables in 12th. 13th on the grid, Paul Martin from Ian Charles, Richard Ferns and Matt Carter, row 8. Max Windhäuser and Martin Heath completing the 9th row. Row 10, Paul Spencer and Mark Nicholson, followed by James Walker and Andy Chittenden. Neil Harris and Adam Dale on the 12th row of the grid, and they're followed by Jeff Page and Norman Lackford. Daniel Prendergast pole for Class E. Jason Stowe next from John Gilman and Kevin Sewenson. Carolis Griska, Paul Watson and Eamon Matheson complete a very competitive 35 car grid. Kevin Sewenson, the Aquila Synergy pole sitter, but in white it's the defending champion Mike Genvy. In red on the outside of the front row, the Class A pole sitter Graham Cole. Genvy makes a super start, but look at this fantastic field on board with Max Windhäuser passing Richard Ferns on the outside line. 3 wide here at Silverstone. This is one of our premium venues without a doubt, a current Grand Prix venue using the smaller circuit. So heading down towards Hanger Straight for the first time. Well, there in 22 is Craig Mitchell, one of the front runners in the championship, Craig, and the view from Josh Smith, qualified second in Class C, but there's a challenge on Mike Genvy by Graham Cole in red. He was looking down the inside line. I'm not sure if Genvy ceded that. Duncan Williams and Matt Manderson still chasing them, and they head down to complete this first lap, but side by side for second. Genvy indeed is still the leader, and Duncan Williams, superb stuff from 4th on the grid up into 2nd place. There's Matt Manderson in the 82 car, if memory serves, the driver who won the first ever race in the OSS series, as it was back in 2009. So a very welcome return, and clearly showing the potential of that car, and chasing down Graham Cole at the moment. Cole goes wide and Matt Manderson goes through on the inside line with a super move through. Craig Mitchell is in 5th place behind them, and here is the view from Josh Smith. Well, already getting into some lapping territory here at half distance. Graham Cole is running there in 4th position. And this is the view from Josh Smith. Max Windhäuser is lapped by Smith, and through on the inside goes John Paul Ivy. Craig Mitchell in the Ligier JS49 goes through as well. Love the Ligier name, for me just resonates with Formula One back in the day, of course. Same manufacturer, absolutely superb to have the mix of machinery we have in this wonderful, wonderful championship. Josh Smith ahead now of Graham Cole, and Cole being challenged as well by Craig Mitchell, but Cole in red, left of shot, powers his way clear of the Ligier down Hanger Straight, and Mitchell had no answer there. Mitchell, remember, running in Class B, Graham Cole running in Class A. Douglas Bowkett there second in Class A in the number 15 Jade Chrysler, and problems with 2 of the Aquila Synergy cars. Carolis Griska and Paul Watson both off, and arriving on scene is Max Windhäuser, who has to deal with that with everybody else as well. Tricky position. These cars, of course, happening on that instant very quickly. There's Mike Genvy in car number 1, still the race leader, with Duncan Williams all over the back of him in second place. Watch for Williams. There he is, Genvy in the Genvy Gun TS6, Williams in the Juno. So, well, still got the stranded 24 car on circuit of Paul Watson, one of the Aquila synergies, and that could well cause some problems. There in 110 is James Walker in the Spire GT3, and we've got the red lights on, so the race being called to a premature halt. The win going to Duncan Williams. Mike Genvy taking second from Matt Manderson. Josh Smith wins Class C. John Paul Ivy next. Graham Cole wins Class A. Craig Mitchell next from Doug Bokett. Then Richard Webb, Graham Hill, Jeff Page and Darcy Smith. Richard Stables from Ian Charles and Matt Carter. Paul Spencer from Paul Martin and Mark Nicholson. Max Windhäuser, Norman Lackford, Martin Heath, Richard Ferns, Andy Chittenden, and following Andy Chittenden, it was Andrew Smart from James Walker, Daniel Prendergast, Adam Dale, Jason Stowe, John Gilman and Kevin Sewenson in 30th.
And it's down to me and my cousin who share the car to get the lap record for the weekend. So I've just done a 14.1, which the target was this weekend to get to a 14. And so I put the marker down for Richard and see who gets a bottle of champagne.
My tyres started going off after about 4 or 5 laps. We set the tyre pressure for yesterday, and it was quite a cold day. And I think the mistake we made is we left the tyre pressure quite high. Today's that little bit warmer, and they started going off. They turned like jelly towards the end.
And I saw Matt in the Bulby hassling you a little bit.
Matt was really quick, fair play in that Bulby. That's a 2-litre car, and mine's a 2.3 turbo. So it's quite shameful, really, that he should pass me.
And again, a very, very close race with Mike, and he got held up earlier on, and I got by, and then I was being held up, and he was catching me up. So it was a lot down to luck with the traffic.
Car was mega, yeah. We started 11th, finished 4th overall, first in class. Caught everyone that we would like to have got past. The 3 guys in front in Class B were obviously off on their own. But we're looking forward to race 2 with a little bit of the pressure taken away.
So race 2 on pole position sees Mike Genvy with Graham Cole, then Duncan Williams and Graham Hill row 2, John Paul Ivy and Matt Manderson on the 3rd row. 4th row, well, Richard Webb there with Craig Mitchell, then Josh Smith and Darcy Smith. Row 6, Douglas Bokett and Ian Charles. 7th row, Paul Martin and Richard Stables, followed by Richard Ferns and Martin Heath, then Matt Carter and Paul Spencer on row 9. 10th row, Max Windhäuser and Mark Nicholson, followed by James Walker and Andy Chittenden, row 11. Row 12, Adam Dale with Jeff Page. Row 13, Neil Harris and Daniel Prendergast. Jason Stowe with Norman Lackford, Richard Gilman and Kevin Sewenson on row 15. Row 16, Carolis Griska and Paul Hill. Eamon Matheson completing the grid on row 17. A fantastic entry once again, and we are racing for the penultimate time this season. On board with Mark Nicholson, qualified in 20th place, and coming down some very crowded track, and Nicholson takes a spin, a precarious place to be. Look how many cars have to go in avoidance, and masterly avoidance it is indeed. Craig Mitchell running well, John Paul Ivy followed by Richard Webb, and I think going slowly there was the red Jade Trackstar of Graham Cole, who looks like he's dropping back in the number 6 car. Graham qualifying in 2nd place from Mike Genvy, who leads from Duncan Williams in 2nd. Then in 3rd place it's Craig Mitchell, and here's the view from Josh Smith, the championship leader, as you heard in the interviews, saying that the pressure really being taken off just a little bit. He's trying to, at the moment, hunt down John Paul Ivy. No, beg your pardon, that's Richard Webb immediately in front, the white and green car, and a little problem there for Graham Cole, who is passed by Darcy Smith. Graham Cole, the one thing we know about him is he will recover from anything the race throws at him, and as you can see, Josh Smith is running superbly here, Josh Smith has either been first or second in every single race in class so far this season. And remember that there are 2 drop scores. He's very nearly, to my mind, secured the championship. I think even if he retired in this one, he could secure the championship. But Smith having a good run, he'll be putting any such thoughts very much well out of his head. So Smith trying to hunt down John Paul Ivy. John Paul's been racing quite a little while. Remember him racing in MGs going back a wee while, amongst other formulae. But Josh Smith very much looking pretty good at the moment. Coming down the hanger straight. There's the outboard shot of the pair of them. Car in front is an invitation class car, so not scoring any points, so Josh Smith won't be too concerned. As a matter of pride, he'll want to try and go past. Coming down into the chicane, and that's John Gilman, the Class D car that this pair go past. John on the outside line will carry on, and they complete the lap going down the international pit straight here. So Josh Smith now on 253 points by my reckoning in total, and Craig Mitchell on 199. Graham Cole has closed up in third place overall on 193 points, just 6 points behind as we pick up on Max Carter and Paul Martin in the MCR Sports. Welcome back to Silverstone, the penultimate race of the 2016 Excool OSS Championship. The race being led by Duncan Williams, the Class B runner, who's got the better of Mike Genvy in this one. Genvy running in second place. Third position in class is Darcy Smith as Duncan goes past Paul Spencer. Paul himself no slouch whilst being lapped, still third position in Class A. Class A being led by Graham Cole. Jeff Page in second place. Graham Cole also the championship leader in Class A. Josh Smith, of course, the championship leader in Class C. And Wave Jealous now. Wave Jealous turn 1. Is that Craig Mitchell's car? If that is Craig Mitchell's car off in retirement, that is going to open up the championship, because Mike Genvy will close in on Craig Mitchell's points tally there. Isn't it strange how seasons unfold? Now, we're looking at Duncan Williams, the race leader, but I have to talk about the man in second place, Mike Genvy, who had 3 retirements at the start of the year, and we didn't think he was going to get close to retaining the class title, but by my maths, with Craig Mitchell out and drop scores, that could well swing back towards Mike Genvy taking the Class B title once again. The overall championship looks like it's heading to Josh Smith. Craig Mitchell, if it is him in retirement, and yes, he has retired from the race, confirmation he has retired from the race, Mitchell will lose second in the overall standings to Graham Cole. So what a topsy-turvy and exciting weekend we've had, and this very much typifies the superb racing we've had from Excool OSS this year. So Duncan Williams is out front, the 60-year-old engineer from Bromsgrove, has raced over in Europe in V2V, an overall winner in V2V, holds the OSS outright lap record at Donington Park, class lap records here on the national circuit at Silverstone, the Snetterton 200 and the Brands Indy circuit, Donington Park as well, so a very fast driver. Now, just to put Duncan Williams' fastest lap in perspective, set on lap 10 of the race, 1 minute 1.672, averaging very nearly 110 miles per hour. And I reckon for the size of grid, this is probably the most speed that you'll see around here in national racing. A superb performance put on by everybody. He's closing up now on Matt Carter and Graham Cole immediately in front, but there is the checkered flag, 2 out of 2 for Duncan Williams here on the international circuit at Silverstone. Mike Genvy is going to take second position from John Paul, Ivy, Richard Webb, Darcy Smith, Graham Cole wins Class A, then Matt Carter, Jeff Page, Paul Spencer, Paul Martin, Richard Stables and Ian Charles in 12th place. Richard Fern's next from Max Windhäuser and Norman Lackford, Andy Chittenden, Martin Heath winning Class C, then James Walker, Jason Stowe, Richard Gilman who wins Class D, and then Adam Dale in 21st.
Great again. Mike got the jump on me, got away, but I managed to hold him a little bit closer this time. And then he made, again, we're pushing so hard that we are both on the limit of making mistakes, and Mike made a very small mistake, got down the inside of him, then managed to gap him, I think, from the times at the end.
It was fantastic. All we've done before is a Castle Combe series. My father started because he races a pro sport this season doing OSS, and we'll both be doing OSS next season.
Huge interest from some noted drivers for next year who'll have to line up against the likes of Duncan Williams and Mike Genvy on the front row. Richard Webb and Darcy Smith ahead of Graham Cole and Matt Carter. Jeff Page with Paul Spencer on row 4, then Paul Martin and Richard Stables. Ian Charles and Richard Ferns completing the 6th row, and they're ahead of Max Windhäuser and Norman Lackford. Andy Chittenden and Martin Heath on row 8. James Walker and Richard Gilman on row 9. 10th row, Adam Dale and Daniel Prendergast, then Alistair Smart and Josh Smith, Douglas Bowkett and Graham Hill on the 12th row of the grid. Penultimate row, Mark Nicholson, and then the Aquila synergies of Kevin Simonson, the Dane, Paul Watson and Carolis Griska. Well, as you can see, conditions have changed, but the great racing we get from the Excool OSS Championship has not changed, and proof of that, great start by Mike Genvy from Duncan Williams. 3rd position is Richard Webb. Max Windhäuser is quick off the line, but the back end wants to swap around. It was a good save, but he's passed by 4 cars, including the black and yellow car coming through of Martin Heath. So Heath has made progress there. Max Windhäuser up ahead of Norman Lackford and chasing the 1-2-4 car of Ian Charles, one of the quartet that passed him after that moment, but well held, Max, as the race leaders go through Beckett's and head down towards the Hanger Straight for the first time. The race leader, though, is Mike Genvy. Duncan Williams 2nd, Matt Carter in 3rd place, then Richard Webb, Darcy Smith, Martin Heath followed by Paul Spencer. Richard Ferns is next. Lots of spray on this part of the circuit as they go down through Stowe Corner for the first time. So Mike Genvy settled into race mode nicely and passes Ian Walker, laps Ian Walker, and is being chatted off. Onto the grass goes Josh Smith, who tied up the championship in race 2. Our congratulations to Josh, our new champion. But Mike Genvy, the outgoing champion, leads the race. There he is in car number 1. Duncan Williams is chasing him. Now Genvy needs to win class and get fastest lap to take the Class B championship title. He's closing up on Richard Gilman, goes past Richard Gilman, so a very good handy move there, but he's got to look in his mirrors for Duncan Williams. Williams is relentless in his hunt. Williams, of course, is dicing with Norman Lackford in the championship standings for 3rd place in Class B. Paul Martin about to be lapped by the race leader, and Mike Genvy goes through, and as you can see, Duncan Williams is chasing the leader and matching him 2nd for 2nd at the moment, but Genvy needs to hang on. The 2 things he needs to do: win the class and grab the fastest lap. But the fastest lap of the race at the moment is with the man doing the chasing, Duncan Williams. Williams is denying a class title. Past Daniel Prendergast goes the race leader. Alistair Smart will be the next target. He's 3rd in Class C, so Alistair having a good race of it at the moment. The next car is the white machine of Adam Dale. Now Adam in car number 3, the Radical SR3, is a maiden year driver. 1st year driver, has finished every race so far this year. So very notable year for Adam Dale. Mike Genvy goes past him, still being chased by Williams. Williams still has the fastest lap. So at the moment, Genvy being denied the championship. He will, if he gets the fastest lap, tie on points for the Class B honours with Craig Mitchell, who did indeed retire from that last race. But Genvy has had thus far 4 class wins, so he would win on the tie break. Genvy continues to battle through. That was Norman Lackford that they passed, so Genvy still out front. Duncan Williams wants the win as well. This has been a fine piece of sports car racing between the pair. They're closing up on the man who, would you believe, is in third place overall, and that's Douglas Boquet, who is leading Class A, but Duncan Williams goes wide. That has surely lost Duncan the chance of taking the race victory, so Mike Genvy is now racing effectively very much against the clock. If he can get a clear lap, now I said that the car in front, of course, the more you lap, the faster the cars you're lapping are, and make them harder to overtake. So effectively, Douglas Boquet, I'm not saying he's going to upset Mike Genvy's fastest lap, but it's not going to make things the easiest for Genvy, who has to take the outside line. It's going to be a mega lap if he does get the fastest lap, so that's what we need to look at the timing screen. Genvy is going to get the class win, but can he get that fastest lap? He's still being hounded by Duncan Williams, who's recovered superbly in second place. Here comes Genvy out of club corner. He's going to go across the line. We're going to keep an eye on the timing screen. There's the checker. He doesn't do it. He wins the class but doesn't get the fastest lap. His hand signals tell the story. Thumbs up for the win. Thumbs partially down through not getting the fastest lap. He knew from his telemetry. Genvy the winner from Williams. Doug Boquet wins Class A. Richard Webb next from Martin Heath, who wins C. Then Paul Spencer, Darcy Smith, Richard Stables, Max Windhäuser. Ian Charles is next from Norman Lackford and Mark Nicholson. Then it was Paul Martin, Max Carter, Andy Chittenden, Graham Cole, Adam Dale, Alistair Smart, Daniel Prendergast wins Class E. Class D won by Richard Gilman. And then James Walker, Kevin Sewenson, Carolis Griska and Paul Watson. Non-finishes for Josh Smith, Richard Ferns and Graham Hill. And congratulations to all our champions. Josh Smith, the overall champion. Graham Cole in Class A. Craig Mitchell in Class B, just ahead of Mike Genvy. Superb finish to the season.
Fantastic victory, but just missed out on fastest lap there.
Yeah, I thought I might. We hadn't sorted out the pit lane signals, so I wasn't sure, but I was going as fast as I could anyway, so there's no difference. And you just I haven't won. I've had 2 bad races this week. Well, not bad races, I come second, but problems in both, so it's nice just to finish one. Really good battle again with Duncan. It's always nice racing him. I don't know where he went on the last lap. I think he went a bit wide under braking into the second corner, but hey, I'll take that, really pleased.
This weekend didn't obviously go quite to plan, but the end result is perfect for us, really. So 2016 OSS champions, second time in 3 years, which is great for the Bridgewater College students and the course as a whole, really. We did enough in yesterday's first race. We took a class win, and that was all we needed to win a championship. But the second 2 races, we've finished every race this year. And then the last 2 races, we've had one drive shaft break in race 2, and the other side of the drive shaft went in race 3 when we were leading as well. So not ideal, not the way we wanted to finish, but the important thing is we've got the championship done, and we'll be back in 2017 to have another go again.
No, it's been a bit of an up and down season really, but we had 3 non-finishes, but when we did finish we had good results. But today I went out there on slicks, probably the only person out there on slicks, and it was wet. And it was a real handful. It was the wrong choice. I mean, I knew that as soon as I got out in the warm-up lap. The track was too wet, didn't seem to be drying out. And it actually, for me, got worse because they weren't warming up.